a podcast created by two guys brought together by movement, transformed into brotherhood. The boys share their authenticity as they deep dive into what it means to explore this human experience. Shedding light on personal trials and accumulated wisdom, Conscious Collingwood is meant to provoke thought and insight to expand your personal awareness. Come along for the journey as Justin and Jeff exemplify what it means to be a man living wholeheartedly, balancing the divine, masculine, and feminine. Welcome to Conscious Collingwood.
I thought of a
movie star.
I thought of a really funny real idea where, you know, my dog milk joke?
Yes.
I was going to ask Kaylee, I was going to say, can I use Kylo and you and I film a funny reel, and I'll just talk about the benefits of dog milk. I'll even point at, obviously he's got a dick, not nipples.
Yeah.
So how funny would it be to I get it straight from the source, and then just be like, you can't believe everything that's on social media. Health advice, bad health advice is rampant, And then, how funny would that be?
If it's edited properly and there's
Yeah.
a good script.
Oh,
it'd
yeah.
Be kind of funny, yeah.
Thanks. Kind of funny?
Kind of funny.
Yeah, rude.
Might miss the mark with some
Put
people.
my heart here. Yeah, well.
Who are they then?
If you don't think dog milk is funny, you can eat it.
Unpasteurized dog milk.
Yeah.
Can't have unpasteurized cow milk, but...
Raw dog milk.
Or you could play it off because you're allergic to dairy, you've had to resort to...
Dog milk.
Dog milk. There you go.
There we are.
There's an angle.
Yeah. Are you lactose intolerant?
Yeah. That's funny.
looking for something that's not watery like nut milk? I got some frothy, creamy deliciousness for you.
Oh, okay.
Dog milk.
Oh, Jay's into bestiality.
No, that would be me having intimate relations with the dog. I'm just trying to drink its milk. That's been on my mind. That's where that's my creative mind sometimes.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Oh, mercy. Here we are.
You know what's happened lately?
Tell me.
My great-grandma died. 101.
She was 101.
Yep. She left her body years ago, but she passed away. And it was one of those funerals where it was more happy than sad.
Yeah.
She didn't leave us too soon.
No. Was there any sort of coherence from her in the last number of years, or was she just...
No. Very vegetable-like.
Oh, man.
So, honestly, would have rather her pass around 97, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really beautiful. She was such a beautiful, sweet lady. She didn't... I knew she was religious, but she never, asked me or forced her perspective onto me. And at the funeral, my grandma and her sisters, other than one, very pushy with Jesus. And I was like, chill. Pretty much the whole celebration of life was an opportunity to remind everybody that if you don't take Jesus' name as your Lord and Savior, that one, you're about to go through a full camp of guilt trips.
Yeah.
And that you're not going to make it into the kingdom of heaven, and you're not going to see Grandma ever again. Yo, dude, it was wild guilt trips. It was hilarious. And so I'm trying to keep it together, but man, they made it really hard for me.
Do you think it's because you've been so far removed from that story that it was just blatantly obvious that it was pushy?
Oh, so obvious. It was brutal. No, literally, like it was. My one aunt was like repeated herself every time. Where it was like, he gave his only son. Let me repeat myself. He gave his only son for you. So you have to accept him as your Lord and Savior. Or you're going to fucking hell.
Yeah.
And then would just keep repeating like the important part, the guilt trip parts.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was wild. It was funny.
Jesus is fascinating.
I know. And his disciples are fun too. It was the interesting part is obviously it's mental manipulation and very obviously pushy. And yeah, I haven't been subject to that sort of a religious affiliation or a human being with that strong of beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a belief system is a closed system, like I believe in Jesus. You better not bring yoga, you better not bring spirituality, you better not bring Buddhism, Muslim, like there's no room for any other perspective but Jesus.
And I'm pretty certain Jesus wasn't like that either.
No, I can't imagine
Like
he was like so.
No, he doesn't walk into a village and it's just like put a gun to your head and says, "Follow me, bitch."
Yeah.
Or else you're not getting into the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Like no, he just shared his message.
Yeah.
He lived by example.
Probably a super chill carpenter.
And, yeah.
Just like having conversations with, I don't know, maybe he was pushy.
Maybe he was.
Who knows?
I find it
We will
fascinating.
never know.
No. I find it fascinating that when people find him through the Bible or through the work, and someone comes to mind as like a Russell Brand, like he's really become preachy in the last,
Really?
I don't know, handful of months.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously gotten sober and done a lot of work, and then he went to school to do some sort of like religious masters or something, or understand Christianity. I can't remember exactly. But he went to school to study, and he's a little, I wouldn't say culty, but he's pushing the narrative now. But it's fascinating how someone like him, and you see this with sometimes addicts, they find some sort of solace obviously in the message.
I think
so there's something there, but I wonder why it captivates certain people, and it just they lose themselves in it to some degree.
I don't know if it's a judgment, but it's not a judgment. It's my perspective. I've been around religious people my whole life. My mom worked for the church.
Yeah, you can have an opinion.
And I was always that kid that sat there just like wasting my time. I could be doing a lot of other things. Just not interested in the content, I guess, is a polite way to put it. But what I noticed was religion feeds off people in desperate situations or who are struggling, and then they're like a support system. They bring them in and say that, oh, that's a beautiful card. That's one of my favorite cards, by the way, on your phone. They bring you in and say, don't worry about taking any more responsibility. As long as you accept Jesus into your heart,
yeah,
you're good, baby.
Yeah.
You've erased all your wrongs. Don't worry about self-reflection either.
No.
It's a little bit too much. We're not doing that.
No.
But there's one out here, and it's super easy. Yeah. We're also going to dunk you in some water.
Yeah.
Hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
Did you bring your bathing suit?
That's right.
Dude. Yeah.
It's a trip. I mean,
but also, sorry, I want to be respectful to anybody that believes in like honest
100%.
Christianity.
I mean, I was raised Catholic, and so I went to church, I don't know how young I would have been, but obviously went in my youth. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to the age to be able to work, like I couldn't wait to get a job. Like I started working at the golf course when I was 13. Guess who wasn't going to church anymore?
Yeah,
this guy.
Yeah, he's a working man.
Yeah. Actually, I wonder if my work ethic is derived from not wanting to go to church. So actually, I should be grateful that I had that contrast.
Yeah, thanks, religion.
But it's just it's just the standing up, the sitting down, the standing up, the sitting down, the body. It's just the whole thing, right? As a child, I was like, what the fuck does this all mean? And then later find out my mom is really just taking us to appease her parents.
Oh yeah.
Right? She didn't really want to be there. But listen, like you, I need to say that my grandmother, Eichenberger, Grandma Ike, she was religious. She was Presbyterian, and she was very involved in the church. And my Aunt Penny is still very involved with the church. And this life is so complicated that if it works for you and you're a respectful human, then by all means, that's your Paul Chek, that's your Peter Crone, that's your mentor, that's your savior. Yeah, I get it. It's when it becomes pushy. My grandmother never said, "Hey, get to church, you fucking little sinner."
Wow.
She never.
Could you imagine?
That'd be awesome, actually. But we would go to the church and we would participate in, any community activities that were going on, and supported her. But yeah, she was never pushy about it. Penny's never pushy about it. It's just that's their way of life. And Terry's aunt, beautiful woman, involved in her church here in Thornbury. She doesn't. No. She just that works for them.
Amen.
And we respect that.
Beautiful.
Don't come knocking on my door with some Jehovah's Witness Bible pushing that shit on me.
Please don't.
Yeah. Because you're making an assumption that I'm not living in my fulfillment, that I'm a bad person or something. You don't go to the church?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Well, religion is very steeped into our government. It's steeped into the country's takeover.
Yeah. The other thing I've thought about the Bible too is that when people if you're living a challenging life and you're looking for support and whatever else, and you start following the teachings and change your patterns, your behaviors, your habits, and it starts working for you, well then you start to believe in it. Well, all you've done is change your ways, and this was the example you followed, but you could have followed some other teachings, but your energy's changing, your vibration is changing, your thoughts are changing, your thoughts create your reality, and so I can see how people get consumed by it all because, this works. Jesus works.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you changed your fucking thoughts.
Yeah. They were just really convincing.
Yes.
And it's a very simple model.
Yeah.
But the model is wrong in my perspective because it goes on the basis of self-sacrifice. I gave my only son so that you could live in the kingdom of heaven, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, one, that's self-sacrifice. And then you just have to lead with love and forgiveness and be a servant of God and full self-sacrifice instead of self-reflection, introspection, and creating what you want in your life.
Yeah, that sounds almost like a lack of accountability, right? You just The funny thing is too, and I wonder if this is by design or not, but you hear many people that will pull stories in scripture from the book because it is applicable. Like there are some metaphors in there and
there's great
all the things.
information
100%.
Yeah. In every religion.
Yeah. But it's when it gets a little the guilty stuff. Fuck off.
Get fucked.
Yeah. And then dude,
kick rocks.
Then dude, on top of it all, when the Catholic Church has more pedophiles than Epstein Island, you're like, what's going on here? Come on.
Yeah.
Enough.
Who's in charge here?
They have more wealth than anything in the world. You're like,
greasy.
This is greasy.
It's fucking greasy.
And I don't even know. This is just all hearsay. It's from stuff on the internet.
Hey, this is literally This is our perspective.
Yeah. But I have heard people that have gone to, the Vatican and done some tours, and you see the opulence and the wealth and it all, and you're just like, how does one place have this much stuff?
Oh, you steal it from the world.
Oh,
You murder, rape, and pillage, and steal, and bring it all back to one spot, and you call it your own country within
Yes.
a country.
Yeah.
So you're protected.
yeah.
Fuck.
What a trip.
What a trip. Fucking stupid. Humans are so. I'm sorry, but
You could say
we are very programmable.
that was a very polite way of what you were just gonna say.
We are easily manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can see why this life is challenging. You're throwing some curveballs. Your hormones get out of whack, your emotions get out of whack, and
Yeah.
something comes along and makes you feel better. You're gonna latch onto it.
And you know what? The feeling is very palpable. And I found that, I do something similar in the sense that, I bring people into an emotional state through classes, but the intention is self-empowerment, self-reflection.
100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
Take a little bit, get inspired.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful life. Don't let it slip, you know?
Yeah. I remember being at the studio, Everlove, and somebody made a comment about, drinking the juice
Oh, yeah.
and being part of the cult.
Cult.
And I got defensive, right?
Yeah.
Because I took it a little bit personally, because I'm someone who frequents the studio, and I have found community, great people, but you're assuming that I'm not thinking for myself anymore.
Yes.
Or that I am indoctrinated with whatever the teachers in the studio is preaching, and that's not what it is at all.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, this person is just on the outside and looking to, is feeling potentially a little jealous or something. So I don't think they're the same thing, because like you said, it's about discovering your own self-awareness or strengthening that self-awareness and connection to yourself, and the byproduct that is the community of people that are doing the same.
Yeah.
So there's more relatability and connection. I did laugh the one part.
It is, well,
Huh?
when somebody, dismisses or calls, Everlove a cult, potentially that their psyche is a little bit in conflict, because potentially self-reflection is what they're lacking. Or they haven't had, it's so far away from, they're just lacking self-awareness and self-reflection, and maybe the potential of what it would be like to really be embodied. And so that brings fear.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, have these, how do I want to say it?
Insecurities?
I wouldn't call it insecurities. It's like this person calling Everlove a cult, that potentially is well, I'm just going to name it.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. It makes me uncomfortable, because that's what it was doing for that person. And
maybe another way to, or maybe some other words to help here is
Fun.
This person, like you said, isn't doing as much work as the rest of the group, and so that's why they potentially feel like an outsider on the outside, because they are to some degree, because they're not willing to fully, develop in all these different areas.
which is also beautiful,
to connect.
because their soul is interested.
That's right. Yeah.
It is interested.
Yeah.
But there's so much programming that's causing that person to have judgments,
Mm-hmm.
and to point it out, because they see it.
Yeah. And it's easier to be
and
the
it's
victim, though.
and it's uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but it's easier to blame it or point it out than it is to be curious.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have judgment and curiosity at the same time.
No.
And that's really what, the work we're doing is like especially in our men's and women's circles, it's you can't have curiosity and judgment at the same time. How often are you looking through the lenses of judgment? And how healing could curiosity be in almost every moment?
I'm curious.
Because if you're looking at your life through the lens of judgment, you're taking all the people that have programmed their limiting perspectives and casting it out onto the world, and then you're seeing the world through pretty much potentially unhealthy people's perspectives that you grew up with or had influence in your life. And then, curiosity has the potential to unwind all that.
Yeah.
So you can see through new eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And realize, like, wow, I'm not that different.
Yeah.
And so many people have beautiful life experiences and perspectives, and it's very healing.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you Google there?
I was just to remind myself what the definition of a cult was. Well, because I'm like, what is the difference? Maybe there's a healthy cult. Is there such thing as having a healthy cult? But a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or a thing.
Yeah.
But I think cult typically describes more of the religious practices.
Yeah.
And almost having maybe a negative connotation to it, like a negative effect, in the sense that you have blinders on and don't have a broader perspective. Where that's not happening at the likes of Everlove or other gyms or other
well, maybe
community centers.
We can't speak to anybody.
Yeah, fair enough.
But what we know, maybe there's a little bit of cult action. I don't know. That's not what we're creating. I know that for a fact.
So as I know Everlove has this scheduled, there's a sacrificial goat coming up. When's that scheduled?
Oh,
we're all going to drink the blood of this goat.
My favorite part is sitting under the goat and bathing in the warm, frothy blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the orgy after. Oh,
Jesus Christ.
A blood orgy. That's my favorite part.
That's a culty laugh.
That's a whack shit.
Oh.
Don't let my mind go there, dude. You know I like to.
Yeah. Hey, let's
pick. If there's some whack shit, I like to see how far we can go.
Yeah.
How far can we take it?
Yeah. Hey, do you think it's? Let's keep this on track. Do you think it's worth sharing a little bit? Because I know when you started working with Paul, I think you were kind of accused of following a cult in him. Is that accurate? Or you had that
I wouldn't call it accurate. So, I really admire Paul Chek. I think, I gained so much wisdom, so much knowledge from him. He's educated me more. He's had more influence than anybody in my life. But at the same time, like when I met him, and I spent 3 days with him, I didn't feel the need to. I wasn't like,
washing his feet
or anything. I was like, this is just a dude, and I appreciate all the wisdom and the knowledge and his life's work.
But in the beginnings, didn't people around you accuse him of being a cult leader or something? And
my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My mom was like, well, my mom's indoctrinated into the church, so I love my mother. But yeah, we can only open our eyes to other perspectives if we are open.
Mm-hmm.
With religion, obviously, the previous conversations it's a belief system that's pretty closed. So, yeah, no, Paul, I think if just meeting him was enough for me to be like, yeah, he's great. He's a dude. He's really nice. He's fucking funny.
And he's also.
But I wasn't like, there wasn't this like, one was great. It was really nice to meet him and connect and have that time. But I don't have desire to like constantly visit him or maybe one day he'll let me wash his feet, like I don't give a fuck.
No. I think what I appreciate about him too is his own accountability, and he'll share where he's made mistakes and things like that. And sometimes you don't hear that from other leaders and stuff, right?
Yeah, that dude's honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very honest. I've been diving back into the Chek practitioners training. So this is integrated movement science. And Paul Chek's model is reorienting posture back to balance. So we have a totem pole, and on the top of the totem pole is the psyche, and then we have jaw, eyes, neck, like atlas axis junction, and then we start moving down and down the totem pole so that we kind of understand that there's what we need to look for is at the top, and then work our way down the totem pole so that we can bring this person's body back into balance.
Mm-hmm.
So we have sensory, our sensory perception. So we have the most nerves in our face. If you look at a fish, all the nerves in the face guide that species in whatever direction it's going. Same to us. So there's studies that talk about how the transverse abdominis is the first muscle to contract to protect the body, the spine. But Matthew Walden, the chief teacher at the Chek Institute, he did a study where he would he either like put blindfold, or you would take an inhale, eyes open, exhale, eyes closed. So within the study, they would flick the ear, they would put a flashlight in the eyes, and they'd put light smelling salts under the nose. Yeah. And what he found, or what they found in that study, was actually you're going to move out of the way to protect your senses first. The TVA is not contracting right away. It's a dodge. It's like a, what the fuck? The most important things, eyes, hearing, taste, smell, all those are most important. So the body will adjust itself under the most important aspects, which would be our senses. And the eyes have to stay on the horizon for survival needs. We're a survival being. So we start looking at how the eyes have to stay on the horizon. The pelvis will adjust itself to be under the atlas axis, and then the jaw is affected by stress. We have the trigeminal nerve that innervates the whole face, and TMJ, which is pretty much just tension in your jaw, or tightness on either one side or the other, starts to reduce that blood flow, or that proprioceptive ability of the nerves of the face. So then which is super cool. In Chek level 4, you learn how to adjust the atlas axis and then also address TMJ issues to reorient the head where it is so the eyes can land on the horizon, and then you can start to see the body will move back into balance through obviously a very comprehensive corrective exercise program that addresses the imbalances. Mm-hmm. Dude, it's been so phenomenal, and I've been learning so much, and it's gotten me back really excited about diving back into that teaching and that knowledge. Yeah,
it's amazing.
I know, it's crazy. And then one of the things that really stood out to me is this central sensitization, which, if you think of the central nervous system, central, and then sensitization. So I think one of the best ways to explain this would be, after a poor sleep, or say you went out, had some drinks, the next day you are more sensitive. You're more sensitive to light. You bump your knee, you're more sensitive, more emotionally reactive. So you have a lower central sensitization. You're just more vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And then your perception, it's really guided by your perception. So it's not that, if you had a good sleep, had amazing organic food the night before, you're going to bump your knee and it's going to be like, whatever. Brush it off. You bump your knee when you're hungover or you had lack of sleep, you're more irritable, the pain is worse, so you have a higher, you'll be like, that's a 9 out of 10 instead of like, oh, that's a 3. Mm-hmm. So now your perception is affected. So your perception of what's going on in your body, where on a good day it's not bad, but on a bad day it's a lot. Mm-hmm. So this central sensitization is really explaining that with accumulated stressors, you have a low sensitization threshold, and the challenges, the stressors, or the pain in your life is higher than what's actually going on. And the anxiety that the pain is causing you is actually snowballing and making it worse. So you now are making it worse with your perception of it because your level of sensitization is so low.
Yeah.
Now, how do you strengthen central sensitization, Jeff? Cold bath, sleep, exercise, sauna, all these factors where we're taking care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. What's coming to mind to me when I hear that is, Terry's mom used to say this to her apparently, but things always seem worse when you're tired.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? And the other thing that's showing up too is when you share with me, our emotions, our reactions, all based on our hormonal level, right? And so, yes, if we are tired, exhausted, fatigued, the external stresses, whatever, and we're not eating healthy, we're not hydrating properly, then those hormones are out of balance, and that's what feels like you're describing here too.
Yeah.
It's another way of saying it.
Beautiful way of saying it.
Yeah.
No, that's what it is. It's if we now understand that we have central sensitization, and our perception of our inner reality, and this also is going to work with the outer reality, but inner reality, you're more attuned to things going wrong and like little aches and pains.
Yeah.
And you double down by having anxiety and believing in your fragility, really. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised now, understanding that knowledge of like, this makes a lot of sense with the world. Yeah. And why, I kind of group Canada and America together with healthcare, because kind of the same. but the snowballing of like chronic disease.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do all these, you know, kids and parents now have these comorbidities and these chronic diseases? Like I had fucking asthma, and it took me a long while, and still it is a process every day to keep my central sensitization, because I am naturally I'm a feeling person, so I need to be very habitual with stressing that sensitized central nervous system enough to find equilibrium or balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's also showing up for me too as you share all this is you're not grounded. I'm thinking about myself as a father, right? Like why in one moment can a same situation, so let's use George as an example, say she does something that triggers me, not her fault, but say it's something, why in one moment am I laughing about it, or I just kind of shrug it off and have an adult conversation with her, where another time I might be heightened and end up overreacting, yelling or being dismissive or whatever, right? It's like, well, if I was to look in the mirror real quick, well, what's your day been like? Have you eaten well? Did you get much sleep last night? You're ungrounded. Me personally, I'm speaking about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not who you are because you've lost your foundations a little bit. You know?
Amen.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so, what I found so interesting, so my grandma died, right? And I actually meant to bring this a little bit more forward, but religion took over.
It was necessary, Justin.
Yeah, when I saw my grandma's body, it wasn't my grandma.
No.
It's her body, but it's not
Her energy, her essence.
Her spirit, her soul. And so then I started like thinking a lot. I was like, wow, we are not our body. You know, we really are something more. It's whatever we are is what's looking. And one of the most amazing ways to adapt to a low central sensitization is breathing. So sleep, because you gotta take care of one, I would say it's food. Because if you got stinking thinking, so you just have a shit fucking mindset, address it with food. So the person needs to eat healthy so that his hormones or her hormones can be in balance. Just enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need the energy on board. That's not stressing the organs because you're poisoning yourself with processed food or that's enough. And then breathing, your ability to anchor your soul and your spirit in the body. And inhalation is to inspire, which at the etiology of inspire is in spirit. So you're bringing spirit in, and then you're exhaling spirit out. So the breath anchors the soul in the body. What happens when you stop breathing? You're dead. So breathing's key. But it is this understanding like, we're not our bodies. And breathing anchors the soul and spirit into the body. And we really have one opportunity to take care of this thing. Yeah. But it's a human experience. So it's an embodied and relational process. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
We are our soul and our spirit, so this energy, what's looking, but we have the opportunity to be housed in a body that we get to experience life through. And as soon as that's over, we move on. The body's still here.
Yeah, the soul just, transforms into something else.
Yeah,
moves
and that's
on.
one thing breathwork and psychedelics will do. It starts separating you from the body enough to be like, you're so much more.
Yeah.
So when we're, when we don't, I think what Everlove does is really, you start getting curious about your experience with self-reflection. But the world, from my experience, starts to externalize self a lot. You are how much money you make. You are your job. You are the things that you do. Not that that's wrong, but it's not like, who are you when all that falls away? Who are you actually? As a soul, what values do you have? Because those are guiding principles to who you are and who you're going to be.
Yeah.
And beyond the body, that's what you are.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying. So that's what my mind's been on a lot, is understanding posture and then having this separation of the soul and the spirit from the body. So it's, busy. My mind's been busy.
Fuck, dude. As you're talking here, I'm taking it all in. I'm also like having this trippy experience where, like, my soul is conversing with your soul right now through the machine. So as I'm looking into your eyes, listening to you, hearing you speak, I can actually like feel your soul talking. And it's not the body.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's the lighting's probably helping too. I'm just like, fuck. So we got caught in traffic the other day coming up to 400. I think there was an accident or something. We never ended up seeing it, but we were on the 400 for an hour. Like, it was just crawling. And I'm just like, I'm thinking thoughts. I'm having feelings. Yeah. And there's a fucking 1,000 red lights on the road. And I'm just like, in this moment, just going like, the transmission of thoughts coming out of this off the 400 right now, all these different people. It just trips me out thinking about it like that.
Different experiences.
Right? You're just like, all these different people. There's either single drivers or there's multiple people in the vehicle, and you're just like, there's all this energy, all these thoughts that are just coming from this stream.
The wild thing
of red lights.
The moment, and I'll never forget it, the moment I realized I was getting healthier was me on the DVP, and this is where I would have anxiety. And I started being able to have awareness of, because I would just focus on my breathing, and I was eating healthier food and starting to exercise, and I'd usually like get really anxious and scared, like, fuck, I'm stuck here. What if something happens? Blah, blah, blah. What if I have an asthma attack? What if I don't have enough water? How am I gonna like nurture myself, soothe myself? And I started looking over, and I'd see people losing their minds, and I was like, hey, I'm not that bad. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the most empowering feeling ever, because I was taking action and I was seeing the results in my psyche. Because, the psyche is the top of the totem pole. It's your perception of what's happening.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Best day of my life.
Beautiful.
One of the best days of my life, for sure. Because it still inspires me today to keep going.
So do you think humans then are on an evolution to dissolve the ego? Like maybe it's 1,000 years from now, maybe it's 10,000 years, but there's an evolution to dissolve the need to feel safe and have all the external stuff. And
no.
Because the ego is necessary to survive. It's there to protect you.
It's completely necessary to have a body.
Yes.
It's the part of you that is in need to survive, and helps, the soul not be too reckless to lose the body. But
I like that. Repeat that again, like you're at a sermon.
The soul. No, I don't even remember what it said. But the anchor. The ego does protect, the body. So without the ego, you're potentially reckless. But
jellyfish.
At the same time, when we are too egoic, it can go the other way. It can be destructive. But maybe, when I noticed the ego a lot, it's usually like in aggressive men. This is just my perspective. there's aggressive women out there too, but men want to fight. And maybe that's to feel something. So egoically, they need to feel something physically. And that can be psychic attacks too. So just like defamation of character, blah, 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 blah. But I find that interesting too. So at an ego level, they're trying to hurt you when they're not checked through, violence. Verbal and physical.
Yeah.
So interesting. Wild, wild shit.
Oh, I was just going to ask you a question. This is a little too personal. Where do you... should I ask the question?
Yeah, why not?
It's around the ego. Because I'm actually asking myself the question while I'm listening. Like, where's my ego being seen? Where is it looking for fulfillment? Where is it fighting? What's it fighting? I don't know if I can answer that in the moment.
What's my ego fighting for? Right now in this moment? Is that the question?
Or in
summary?
general? Not this.
My ego is, well, I'm in a process of becoming a king. That's what my mandala was last year, and I still think I'm on that journey. And I think I struggled separating soul and ego. I think I've merged them together in many ways, and sometimes the ego is stronger, sometimes my soul is stronger. I think the ego is like when I like to work hard, and then my soul is like the butterfly that likes to run and get stoned and pain and live my life. Where the ego is like, okay, I want to help people, I want to create workshops, I want to facilitate really powerful strength classes that help people, and it's the work I want to do in the world. Where the soul, I like to dance with my soul a lot, so it's all the times that I just like to be a butterfly, flop around, look at stuff, not have responsibility.
Interesting.
And it's a constant balancing act for me, because I will get lost in the butterfly, and I have to. My ego has to be like, whoa, hey, Jay, there's work to be done right now. If you want to become the king, sit down and do your work. So
you don't feel right now like your ego is doing any harm to you in any areas?
I don't think regardless of the amount of self-development you have a lifetime full of experiences that I think I still unwind thought patterns that don't serve me, limitations or beliefs, or I still let some thoughts and experiences from the past enter my mind and dim my light. But I think that's kind of the process of life. It's the yin and yang. You can't have positive thinking all the time.
Yeah.
You can't just be, I don't know, this enlightened being that's like, oh, life is fucking amazing and you just need love all the time, So I think it's a constant grappling.
Yeah.
And that's how it's meant to be. And that's, I don't know, that's how I find a lot of grace for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the pursuit of happiness is such a scam, because you can't have happiness without sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's, my favorite description of consciousness is a psychic substance, not blind, but in living awareness of opposites. And it's an embodied relational process. So I'm anchored in my body, which is my soul being anchored in my body, and then I have all these polarities that I have to constantly juggle or balance and keep into perspective and not let one run away with so I can't feel the other. You know, if I constantly had limiting thoughts or ruminated on the pain of the past, I would never have the opportunity to feel the happiness that is in the moment and also see the things that are so beautiful around me. And it's like that I think it was like it's one of those questions that you really think about is like, would you take one without the other? And it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't, but I found a lot of peace because, and maybe this is just me justifying my experience of human existence, which makes sense to me. It makes me feel cool with the way things are, and I also think the soul is constantly like, if you want to be a king, you want to be successful, fucking prove it.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to give you limiting thoughts. Well, no, part of this experience is you're going to have limitations. You're going to have to bring a lifetime of experience before the point of you wanting to, before this exact point right now, that you're going to have to assimilate, understand, forgive, have some sort of perspective that'll lead you into the future where you create what you want in this world. But
yeah, I think that's a great call out, because the soul and the ego aren't separate. They're one entity. They're one union. They're just in dance together, right?
Yeah.
And I know when it comes to
you think of the angel and the devil on the shoulder, but it's not a devil. It's like, I don't know, you could say like two angels.
Yeah. But you're right. Like when is it the soul calling you that wants, call it, more material things or to achieve this business goal or whatever, right? It's like that's yeah, there might be some ego behind it. But it's also your soul motivating you and whatever else, right? It's like we've discussed here, like you shared. It's when the ego can be destructive and do harm to you. That's when you have to check yourself, right?
Yeah.
Check the balance, but
just check the balance.
Yeah, check the balance. Yeah. Yeah. Life's a trip.
Life is a trip. And oftentimes it's just easier to conform and, you know, if we hear, oh, Everlove's a fucking cult, you know, it hurts our egos, because we're like, that's not what we did. Like, that's not what we're doing. We're trying to help people.
But like that's one of those things, like you going through your Instagram or you're being trolled on YouTube or something, and there's one negative comment out of 1,000 positive, and you know our default is to focus on the one negative.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what about the other 1,000 positives?
Oh my God.
Why would you even consider this one negative?
Exactly.
That's that person projecting their own insecurities and other judgments, etc., onto you.
But it's, you know, it's that.
And who takes the time to do that?
Yeah. And that's why psyche is at the top of the totem pole. The most important thing you can change is your perspective, because it's how you're interpreting your world. What you're looking for will be found. Yeah. So if you're looking for, you know, if you're upset and just looking for other reasons to be upset, you're going to find it.
Yes.
You know, if you're offended and no one understands me, you're going to find 1,000 reasons that nobody understands you and you'll never be happy. So how do we shift the perspective? You know, ground the anchor of the soul and the soul in the body, and have a relationship with your ego and your soul, and create a life that you actually want to live, instead of something you thought would make you happy and it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a trip.
It's a fucking trip, Jeff.
Yeah. I was gonna share quickly. It's hard to share, but just in the context of this story. So like we have a family member of ours who's close to us who is working towards transitioning out of this life, and I find myself sitting in this position of feeling all the pain on one side, but then all the liberation and gratitude and the blessings on this side. And I suppose my share here is that I'm so glad I've done the work over the last number of years to get to a position where I can be in this experience, like feeling fully grounded and almost having like an understanding of what's going on. It's hard to explain, but it's viewing the situation from 30,000 feet and being able to hold space for it all. It's a bit of a mind fuck.
Oh my God.
Because
Absolutely.
there's so much magic in this life, and there's so much pain and suffering at the same time. The paradox and the duality of it all. And that's coming from someone, speaking humbly, that has done a lot of work and feels pretty grounded around it all. And then witnessing other people that, are struggling with the situation and other things because maybe they don't have the level of self-awareness, or there's a disconnection between themselves and their own soul, right? And so their ego is overriding a lot of things, and rightfully so. So that's why I keep saying, just I don't know how to summarize it. But
ego is constantly going to grip for what it knows, which is the tangible. It's your body, and then the soul's infinite. So potentially, maybe I'm fucking wrong, but it's a nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find peace in it. So it's that battle.
Yeah.
And did you live more from ego, or did you live from soul at all? Like, if you live from your ego, you're going to be gripping. Yeah. You're going to be taking in every inhale, because the inhalation still anchors the body. The exhalation, and that might be an interesting meditation. What do you enjoy more, the inhalation or the exhalation? Because the exhalation is a lot of bliss and relaxation. So finally letting go, what that could feel like,
Yeah. Wow, yeah. So much control. I have control taking it in. I'm going to lose control letting it go.
Jeez, bruh.
Dude. Man, oh man.
But I feel for you. It's a lot to hold. And same, yeah. Even somebody like my great-grandma, 101, lived a long life. Like, watching some people have a really hard time with it was interesting. Yeah. I was like, huh. Because I'm not. But, when I think of death, and don't get me wrong, if I was to die tomorrow, and they were like, you got 24 hours, I'd be freaking out a bit. Yeah. I'd be sweaty, and I don't know how I would react. So, it's so interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah. I remember when my grandma passed away. I think just because she was so supportive. Like, she was that grandmother who never missed a sporting event of any of her grandkids. Like, if she could make it there, she'd be there.
That's sweet.
Recitals, you name it. She would do her best to get there. And, it got to a point where if you'd go visit her, like, too many cataracts and her sight was disappearing. But she could make you out just by your silhouette. She knew who was in the room or who she was talking to, just based on the outline of your shape, right? Of your physical body. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, with hips like yours, I'm not surprised.
Justin. But I as I've evolved here emotionally and stuff, I'd be interested to know if I went back. But I know when she passed away, like, a few of us grandsons, we carried her out in her casket, and the last waltz play was one of her favorite songs, and she used to be a dance instructor and things like that. So it was just like that hit me. And then I remember when we went to the cemetery and did the interment, like, I had a hard time leaving. So it was just like, we're just leaving her here? Like, she's just here by herself? Like, and then Terry was with me, and I was having a good cry and whatever else, and we just ripped it like a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So I finally said, she goes, just stay as long as you want. I said, no, it's fucking over with. Let's just go.
Yeah. Hey.
So she resides in our hearts and
Yeah.
our spirit and all that sort of stuff. So it's beautiful. But
Well, that's the thing. It's the practice of knowing that that person's going to live on forever within your heart.
yeah,
You know?
that's what memory is, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
energy
yeah.
of it all.
Some death is crippling, and some death is you're kind of happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said at the beginning, it's just it's the ego is attachment to the body, keeping this thing safe.
Yep.
You know,
That's all it knows.
because potentially we can get closer to someone's soul by connecting with it from the ether. You know what I mean?
Well, your perspective is going to also shift how they speak to you.
Yes.
In that,
Yeah.
In that. So, if you're hard on yourself, imagine that when you tap into, whoever you are trying to speak to in your heart, they're probably going to be hard on you too.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the psyche.
Yeah.
But I always connect to my grandpa. My grandpas, both of them. I'll just sit, think about them, and say things I wish I could have said when I was younger.
Mm.
Yeah. And I know that they're proud of me. So, yeah. Beautiful.
It is nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wild shit.
Oh, mercy.
Dude, I'm leading men's group today. Oh, yeah. You guys ready for the blood sacrifice?
Well, I was thinking about skipping it, but maybe I'll have to go now.
No, it's
The
okay.
blood sacrifice.
I got a goat. I don't know.
That's what is in the back of the car.
We're either milking it or we're getting meat. So it's called shit. You would bring your white robes?
Yeah. They're underneath his outfit. Oh, brother. Oh, 922.
Beautiful. That's, you know what? Such a great card right there.
Yeah, I pulled it recently, and it really resonated with me in the moment. I was like, wow, I needed to
King of Pentacles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like probably one of the most powerful.
Well,
They're all powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on where you are.
That's right.
Why for you?
It was just a validation of, all the work I'm putting into my life and the seeds I've planted and, just the foundation I've created and I'm on the right trajectory, Yeah. It's a reminder to be patient and be the king and...
Fuck yeah, you are a king. Bro.
Yeah. And I had an older picture on there, and I don't know why. It's just like, I want this as a reminder. Not that I was getting lost in my days, but it's like every time I check my phone or something, that hits me, and I just, quick trigger, remember.
That's smart.
Remember.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful card, too.
Yeah. Just don't forget your homework. Get a new fucking phone, dude.
Dude, this bitch is 6 years old.
I know. Yeah.
What happened was, my brother-in-law came to pick up his daughter,
iPhone.
and I just went to show him this, and I just happened to drop it, and I was like, I think that drop just cracked the front, because look how smashed the back has been.
Yeah.
And I thought for the longest time this case was doing an awesome job, because the front's always been great.
Let it go.
Look at it.
Yeah.
That's art. It's all smashed, and then I finally dropped it, and the old girl had enough, and just a little crack.
Your ego can let it go. You're meant for greater things, my friend.
I need a better
You know what? That's it. You know what excites the ego?
What?
New material things. You'll love it. When you buy a new phone, you're gonna be like, a little stoke the ego's flame right there.
Oh.
Thank you for being with us. We love recording these podcasts. If you know anyone who would resonate with today's episode, we would be grateful if you would share it with them. If you have any questions or comments, do not be shy and reach out. We would love to connect with you. Until next time, be well, love yourself, and live consciously.